whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Wow, welcome to the Nikki Medoro Show. Thank you so much for joining us each and every day, every weekday, right here on YouTube. Thanks to Kim McAllister filling in yesterday when I was working my other job in San Francisco. Big show coming up. Yeah, we're going to talk in just a moment about a possible 28th Amendment. Governor Newsom, our own California governor, wants to pass the 28th Amendment. Long shot, not easy to do. I'll play you a bit of his announcement online that he put on social media. But he wants to have the 28th Amendment to hopefully curtail gun violence in the country. When I play you the video, because I know some people are going to be against it immediately, but what do you disagree with? If you don't like it, what specifically don't you like? And if you do like it, do you think it's going to actually solve the problem? Because that's the whole point, right? So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Obviously, one of the other big news stories of the day is the air quality back east in New York. I'm interested to ask Kim McAllister because her daughter is going to Washington, D.C. next week. My daughter's going the following week. It's like the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C., which really, on top of worrying about my kid being away so far on the other side of the country, I have to worry about air quality right now, please. Yeah, but so many people were like, yeah, where were you guys in 2020 when it was happening here in the Bay Area? Wildfires. That's the point, right? Is that the climate change, the drying conditions, these wildfires impact more than just the towns that it's happening in. Supreme Court rulings, one serious, one not so serious. One has to do with racial gerrymandering. The Supreme Court surprised a lot of people with the way they ruled. Also, they've made a decision in something we talked about in the past. Remember the trademark dispute between Jack Daniels and a pooped theme dog toy? It was really, really funny, so I'll tell you about that. Summer travel plans. If you find your summer travel plan on a do not visit list, does it impact your plans? Would you actually not go? I'm raising my hand and saying no. I'm going to Hawaii next month for the 4th of July. So you guys can catch me on YouTube doing little shorts, but I will be off that week. Very excited. Haven't been to Hawaii since I was 13 years old. So it's definitely a place I want to go to, but it's on one of the lists of places that you shouldn't travel to. So I'm going to keep that in mind. We'll go over the list. Some closer to home places are on that list as well. Jefferson Graham is going to be joining us as he does every Thursday. You can find him on PhotoWalks TV. He puts up new episodes, I believe, every Saturday. So he's going to be talking about how he used AI in some of his photos. Instagram, we will definitely get into the whole Instagram news regarding the app allowing this pedophile network to just share these horrific images. And again, do you keep using platforms that don't take this stuff into consideration? And how does AI play a role? I'll play you a little clip of a news report that included Alex Stamos. He's the former Facebook chief security officer, and he's actually at Stanford University and was behind kind of the discovery of this flaw and how technology cannot be the answer for stuff like this. When we talk so much about AI replacing humans, this is actually a spot where we need humans to be kind of the eyes and ears for this sort of thing. There's a baby item recall happening. The Boppy is being recalled. It's a baby lounger. Any parents out there? That hasn't been that long ago. I know what a boppy is. But when we talk about it, I want you to think of your kids or your grandkids. Was there a baby item that you could not live without? It just was a lifesaver. I have one. And then we'll wrap up the show with some food news. I wanted to get to this the other day, but I wasn't able to. Study has found which snacks make or break a road trip. So you guys tell me your favorite road trip snacks. People are saving money by doing this one thing when they want to order food from a restaurant. And then are the Rolling Stones, selling out because they're partnering up with Keurig, which I gave up my Keurig machine a long time ago. Any Keurig users in the chat? So they're teaming up with Keurig. You guys tell me. It just seems like a weird partnership. But yeah, it's definitely an odd pairing, but I'll show it to you. And they're doing it really, really cute. So thank you, Calvin. It's so funny. I'm giggling, Calvin. He writes, I heard you on the radio, Nikki. My husband always laughs at me because obviously I've been on the radio for decades, but I don't hear myself on the radio. I'm on the radio. Like I'm not watching the show. I'm doing the show. So I'm not listening to myself. And there was this one radio station that I was listening to. And so there's always a delay. And I'd called in and then I got off the air and I turned it on and I heard myself and I called my husband. I'm like, I was on the radio. And he's like, you're always on the radio. Like, I don't care. I heard myself and it was really, really fun. But thank you. Yeah, I was actually reporting yesterday. They let me kind of do that sort of aspect, which was fun. I did interviews. It was kind of going back to my old wheelhouse. So that was really fun. But thank you for listening. And yeah, I don't know if it was you, Calvin, or somebody else. Yes, it was me and my voice making the kind of teaser that Live 105 is back. So yeah, they had me record that, which was really, really fun. It only briefly aired, but it was fun. Now the cat's out of the bag. I couldn't say anything, but yeah, pretty cool. Absolutely. Oh, Deidre, you watch Shiny Happy People? Finish it. It is so scary, but it's so good. Good doc. It's all about the Duggar family and fundamentalists and all sorts of things. So there you go. And yes, Walter, thank you. Hit that button like a boss. So before we get into the possible 28th Amendment to deal with guns that Governor Newsom is proposing, please click the thumbs up button to show your support of the show. It really helps us out. YouTube loves it. I love it, as I love to say. So please do that. If you want to tip the show, if you want to throw some dollars during the show or even during the replay, consider donating to the super chat. It's the $ under the live comment box. And you can throw us a super chat, super comment, super thanks, super sticker, super something. There's a bunch of items in there for you. And basically, yeah, it's just showing us that you support the show and we really do appreciate it. But the number one way I always say to support the show is to become a Medorable yourself. And that is by going to theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com, and signing up to be a monthly Patreon subscriber. It makes such a difference. I'm telling you, knowing that we have monthly subscribers kind of it takes the pressure off a little bit because this is a 100% crowdfunded show, which I actually love. I love it being supported by the people who come here every day, whether live or on replay, and enjoy the show. So thank you to everybody that sign up. If you bump up your donation, I really do appreciate that as well. So that's great. SF Tesla got the Gilroy Gardens ad. I'm assuming that's playing before my show during the ad things. I have not been to Gilroy Gardens, if you can believe it. I've done tons of stories about it, but I've never been there. Let me know when you go. Maybe we can have a meetup or something. That would be really, really fun. I've never been there. It's blasphemous because it's so freaking close, but I've never been there. But yeah, keep me posted. Send me some information. Okay. Let's welcome our good friend Kim McAllister. Now, Kim, I want to get to Governor Newsom. Hi, getting to the proposing a 28th Amendment to deal with gun violence. But first, before I do that, I was mentioning, the smoky air in New York because of the fires in Canada.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Because I know you're sending your daughter back east next week.
So from what I understand, it is supposed to dissipate later this afternoon and within 2 days clear out. That is based on weather forecasts and winds and whatnot.
And there's storms coming that can help with the air and things like that.
So I think that when our daughters go to Washington, D.C.,
right,
it'll be a little better. But I'll send her with a bunch of masks. I was going to do that anyway. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's what I was wondering because I just had the parent meeting this week because they're going in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, between my daughter's health issues and just being away from me,
Yeah.
not like my daughter's gone to Idaho by herself. She's gone to Arizona by herself. She's been on planes by herself. This is very, very far. and she has to manage not just getting there, and then I know she's with people that can, it's this independence that I'm like, oh, I've had a lot of conversations just of don't be distracted, focus, because there's a lot of freedom on this trip. I mean, the teachers were saying, we'll go to, I don't know, the Smithsonian or something, and it's like, okay, be back here in an hour. I'm like what? I was like, okay, so yeah, it's I think both she and I are gonna have a lot of growing while she's on the other side of the country, because I'm nervous as all hell. I really, really am. Are you nervous at all?
So we're talking about the official 8th grade Washington D.C. trip. I am not, because I would say 2 months ago, Julia went on a band trip to Disneyland.
That's right.
And she had to follow along with their schedule, and they would say, here you have free time to go with your friends and ride rides, but you need to be, at a certain point at a certain time, because we need to go to a special behind the scenes class with the Disney musicians, or we need to march right now, or we need to do whatever, and now the bus is leaving, everyone be here at a certain time. So I kind of watched that proceed, and I kind of saw how she handled it. I think it's going to be better than you think it will be.
I mean, I think it's going to be awesome. The itinerary is amazing. I think my number one thing, of course, is her health. Like, oh, please, because she has a hard time with mornings, getting her body up and just feeling kind of raring to go.
So I have a hard time with mornings.
Yeah, exactly. But she always, like, if she's going to feel nauseous, it's in the morning. And so and that's early mornings in Washington, D.C. But I'm hoping because of the time change, her body will just not pay attention to how early it is. But yeah, so besides that, it's just stay with the group. She's responsible. I guess it's all those other damn kids, Kim McAllister. I'm like, are they distracting you? I know.
It's so different though, because there's different travel companies that plan these 8th grade trips to the East Coast, and they all have different rules. So the Petaluma Junior High School trip, which is not my daughter's trip, they are not allowed to have cell phones.
Oh,
they
wow.
They
on
don't
the trip
want the
at
kids,
all?
They don't want them to have their cell phones with them. Maybe not. Maybe you leave it in the hotel room safe. I don't know what, but you can't have it when you're walking around. They don't. People had to go buy actual cameras because they don't want the phones out. They don't want you looking down. They want you looking at the world, right?
But what if something happens? I know that's really, but there's no pay phones anymore. It's not as if the option is there. So if you get separated from the group, what happens? You just ask a stranger, hey, can I use your phone?
Buddy system. You're never alone.
Yeah, well, okay, you and your buddy are lost. Because the only reason I'm saying this is they shared a story during the parent meeting. It's like, this has only happened once. So it's been tested out. And apparently one kid went right and everyone else went left. And it took the kid 15 minutes before he realized that he was. And they have these ID badges that they have to wear at all time. And on the back of it is this 800 number.
Yep.
And they call. And he said, this is what he said. This literally happened. They show up in like a black SUV, kind of like you're a celebrity, and they take your kid and they find exactly where you are and they bring the kid right back to the group. And I'm like, don't tell the kids that story, because someone's just going to want to try it.
Yeah. Like, what's the name of the travel company for yours?
World Strides. World Strides. Okay. Is the one that's using. What's yours?
It's GL Travel, and they also have a special number they say is staffed 24 hours a day, just in case anything goes wrong. I think they've done this so many times that they pretty much it's fine. It's going to be okay.
What's funny is the teacher that leads this one of the moms, she went with him when she was in 8th grade on the trip. That's how many years he's been doing it. So he's got it down. But but he's never had my kid. So anyways, just had to get that out. I'm like, but yeah, I hope the air is clear and it's one less thing that we have to worry about, right?
8th grade graduation happened last night.
Oh, how'd it go? Congratulations, Julia.
Julia was tapped to sing the national anthem and she forgot the words.
Oh no!
I said, and it's funny.
Please tell me you recorded it.
I have it on tape. Mark called me a horrible mother because I had told her previously, like several days ago, whatever you do, don't embarrass me by forgetting the words to the national anthem.
You are
awful.
Said,
I go print them out. Oh,
I would have printed them out. Absolutely.
She goes, I know the words, Mom. It's totally fine.
No.
But then you get up there and you're nervous,
Yes.
Her voice was great, but she did forget the
What
the
line?
words.
What line did she flub up at?
It was
Do it in your head.
Ramparts we watched, but she said something else. Like she
She
said
skipped a line
she
forward or
skipped
something.
it. Yeah, she
Yeah,
skipped
yeah,
a
yeah.
verse, and
I
then
think
she
that's a
looked.
common spot where they do.
She had a panic look in her eyes, and then my husband started singing the right words, and then she got back on track, and it was fine.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
him. Thank
yeah.
God. And you're just like, son of a.
And I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Oh, but you know what? I think that even during, like sporting events, they have the big cue cards. I think they do that just because, well, maybe not everyone, because remember Roseanne Barr forgot them, and maybe they've done it since then. So, well,
she got up there though. I mean,
did she hit the note?
You know what? She hit the note. Hardcore, hit the note. I'll send you the video, but I never would have gotten up there to sing.
Oh, hell no. The national anthem?
No. That was pretty good. I mean, I got to give her some credit for that. So,
oh God, my heart kind of breaks for a little bit.
She got the award. She got, they do awards at the very beginning, and her band teacher gave her an outstanding musician award. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're doing a big old rally tomorrow and giving out a bunch of awards. And it always cracks me up. I always tell the story of when I was in 8th grade and they have all the 8th graders on top of the, we were in the church, right? And so right at the top of the church, and you're looking at the whole audience, and I could see my dad. He's like dead center, but like in the middle, like not in the front row, just in the middle. But I'm like looking directly at him, and they're announcing, this is the group of awards for whatever. And every single time I look at him and I go, don't even get your hopes up. Don't even listen. But it's not happening. I'm not getting any awards. And he just starts cracking up. And then they did the attendance award, perfect attendance. And they called my name. And I was like, no, I'm not supposed to.
Clearly you've made a mistake.
Well, but I got it. But I'm like,
cool.
I think they just include, they're like, who hasn't gotten an award? Let's just give him the attendance award. But yeah, he tells that story to this day. It's one of my favorite 8th grade graduation stories. I'm like, no, don't even think that I'm going to be getting any sort of award here. That is just not me. But yeah, I'm just happy that Marley, after the year that she's had, is graduating 8th grade. And so very happy, but ours isn't until next week. So we're very excited. Okay. Let's get into Gavin Newsom. Okay. So, I'm going to preface this whole conversation by saying this, whether you like it or not, because remember, he stood on the freaking steps of the Capitol and he said that gay marriage was going to happen. It was going to happen. And everyone thought he was nuts. Right. And there was many points, Prop 8 and everything like that, where people were like, oh, my God. And yes, it still needs to be codified. He wants to do it into our state constitution and what have you. But I will say this, how quickly we went from him making that statement about gay marriage to actually having it was very quick. And so I'm hoping that California can lead the way on this, because I'm sorry, like Kim always says, this is not normal, what we're seeing with gun violence. And I know that some people are saying, oh, it's the phones and the social media, so you hear about it more often. I'll give you a little bit of that. But nah, this is different. And if we keep hiding or making an excuse of why we hear about gun violence more, we're ignoring this serious problem. So this was the announcement that Governor Newsom made. And this was this morning, I believe. Yeah, it was this morning. He put it on his social media. I'm going to play it for you. And as it's playing, I want you guys to think about whether you would support what he is proposing. And if you don't, what specifically? And if you do support it, do you really think it's going to make a difference? So here again is our governor, Gavin Newsom, proposing the 28th Amendment.
Every time it's the same. They tell us we can't stop these massacres. They tell us we have to stand by and watch tragedy after tragedy unfold in our communities. They say we can't stop domestic terrorism without violating the Second Amendment. And that thoughts and prayers are the best we can do. I'm here to say that's a lie. In this country, we do have the power to change things, to reclaim our freedom from fear. Our ability to make a more perfect union is literally written into the Constitution. So today, I'm proposing the 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution to do just that. The 28th Amendment permanently enshrines 4 additions to the laws of our land. It raises the minimum age to purchase a firearm from 18 to 21. Because if you can't buy a beer, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. It mandates universal background checks, to prevent truly dangerous people from purchasing a gun that can be used in a crime. It institutes reasonable waiting periods for all gun purchases, and it bans civilians from buying assault rifles. Those weapons of war our founding fathers never foresaw. This will guarantee states as well the ability to enact common sense gun safety laws while leaving the Second Amendment intact and respecting America's gun-owning tradition. The 28th locks in the common sense constitutional protections that Democrats, Republicans, independents, and gun owners overwhelmingly support. And it ensures NRA-owned politicians can never strip those protections away. This fight won't be easy, and it certainly won't be fast. Convening a constitutional convention requires 2/3 of the states to call for this. California will be the first. But that's just the beginning. Join us by going to campaignfordemocracy.com and signing the petition. To protect our communities and protect our freedom, support the 28th.
All right, there it is. I was really hopeful, right? Until he gets into the nuts and, the details of you need 2/3 of states.
It's not happening.
The only thing 2/3 of states agree on right now is like Roe v. Wade, which is frightening, right? So
But you know what you can say, and you can talk about Governor Gavin Newsom's relationship with PG&E and everything else.
right, which we're seeing a lot in the comments right now, and I get that.
But no one is doing anything meaningful about gun violence, and it's killing people. It's killing our children. It is a huge problem that we all, I don't want to say look away from, but we're just spinning our wheels and over again. It's like Groundhog Day, another smash shooting, and no one does anything. So he can say, even if it doesn't pass, I tried to do this. I tried to do this on a national scale. I tried to amend the Constitution to make common sense gun laws. I tried to do this. Now he knows it's not going to pass. It's almost impossible to amend the Constitution, but at least he's doing something. And I think that looks really good.
Okay. I don't like saying it'll never happen. I don't want to say it'll never happen. I do think it's a long shot.
It's impossible. I mean, look at all the red states. Look at all the. You're never going to get the gun people to vote for that, or to and look at all the red state legislatures all over the country. They're not gonna. Those are the people that have to ratify this, and they're not doing it.
But okay, so and this is the other question. And John says, what specifically are the guns to be banned? Assault rifles, right? And so AR-15s, Armalite, whatever rifles are at the top of that list, but there's many others. I think that when we're talking about assault rifles and the damage they do to the human body when you are shot by them is something that is it's a good argument to be made of this specific weapon is not needed. I don't need a nuclear bomb, right? I don't need a missile launcher. I don't need any of those things. And I think that if you could put assault rifles in there, like a regular shotgun rifle, what?
You don't need a missile launcher?
No, I don't. I mean,
how are you going to protect your family without a AR-15 and a missile launcher?
Yeah, I mean, I just, it's amazing how I've gotten this far in life without it, but But I'm just saying, like, I think that we can have an umbrella where it's like, if you're in the military and trained, and I know that that's the age thing that I think some people are going to point to. Well, 18-year-olds can serve in the military, but that is you're in a position within the military. You want to join the military and have access to all kinds of weapons, you will, tanks and all kinds of stuff. But we're talking about civilians here, right? So I think that that's a good argument for that. But if you're against it, so if you're in a red state, and I know that we have Tony here. So Tony, and I love the fact that you like this idea. Tony is in San Antonio, Texas. He says, that's all I want to hear, even if it's only words in the end. Tony, the people that you live near, what is their argument against any of the 4 things that he outlined? I mean, I guess I could say people like age because of the military, whatever. But what about universal background checks? And you saw the percentages there that the governor was giving out. Most of the things, except the assault weapons ban, was like 60-something%. But everything else was more than like 70, sometimes 80% of Americans support these ideas. So if you have that much support, when you poll Americans across the country, it doesn't seem like it should be a tall order to get something like this passed. So we have red flag laws, universal background checks, keeping the guns away from people that shouldn't have them. Waiting periods. What's wrong with a waiting period? I just don't understand people's opposition to what honestly sounds like common sense. And I think that this loud minority of people who create a narrative that puts the fear of whatever in gun owners sucks the air out of the conversation. It's like, no, okay. So how can we get red states to agree to something like this? What would we need to say to be like, look, we want to protect people? Because you know what's also rich, Kim, is that all these red states you're talking about, you probably line up are against Roe v. Wade. Why? Yeah. We must protect the lives of the innocent. That's what we're trying to do. The innocent children that are living and breathing, right? It's, I just never understand when people like Mike Pence, we need to protect life. Okay, this is a way of protecting lives because we're losing way too many lives to gun violence. We just are. And I don't want to hear, oh, what about cars? What about, stop with this false narrative. We can do something about this. We really, really could. I don't understand the argument against something like this. I really, really don't. Lori says what he's doing isn't meaningful because it has no chance of going anywhere. Futile is not meaningful to me. They bank, Lori, on us feeling this way. The NRA, all of them, they're like, just tell people it'll never pass. It'll never happen. And you tell enough people that it'll never happen, right? So why not tell people, you know what? I think this could happen. It's amazing, the way you can groom people to think a certain way, right? Just use all their stupid terminology. But you can. If you get enough momentum, if you make an argument that makes sense to these people, right? I mean, when you have places like Texas also experiencing the horrifying reality of school shootings, right? I mean, you all of these things is like, wait a minute, we could do something. And all the excuses about, gun-free zones, that doesn't work for you, Uvalde, right? Waiting periods, raising the age. I mean, it's not going to mean it'll never happen again. And we're not looking for 100%. What we're looking for is a reduction in this type of tragedy. That's what we're looking for. Karen's exactly right. Guns are the leading cause of death in children and teens right now.
Yep.
I mean, remember the outcry about vaping when people were getting that vape lung and everything like that? How quickly lawmakers wanted to move when stuff like that was happening to our kids. And yet every day it seems like there's another story about gun violence and what it's doing. We have children marching to not only their state capitals, but Washington, D.C., and it's falling on deaf ears because these politicians, many of them are bought and paid for by the NRA or are too damn scared to do anything because God forbid their base gets mad at them.
Well, regardless of whether or not something is going to be done with this 28th Amendment he's proposing, it really will highlight the people that are against it. It really will highlight that, once again, there are people that don't want us to do anything. And I think it's important that it shows every time someone tries to actually make a meaningful change that will save lives, it's thwarted. And so that in and of itself is worth doing.
Right. I mean, I understand. And both John and Randy are making this point. It's how to get something done with it. An amendment is the hardest thing to accomplish. Yes. Right. It's like he's going for the top, right? You want to make it a constitutional amendment. But I think that when you realize the rights and protections we've lost in recent years, it doesn't surprise me that you actually want something enshrined in the freaking Constitution. It's like, wait a minute. If we're going to take this step to protect people against gun violence, let's make sure it's actually the law of the land. Because apparently 50 years of precedent doesn't mean jack crap when you get a different Supreme Court in there. Or when you gerrymander your way into something like that. So again, it just, if you are pro-life, right? If you're pro-life, be pro this, or at least something like it. But it needs to be more vocal. People really need to pressure their politicians, and not just in states like California, where we have a governor that is leading the way on this. I'm talking to you, Tony, and I'm talking, and obviously I love you, Tony. I mean, you're obviously smart and understand the whole situation. But people in your state need to wake the hell up. We need to stop thinking of places like Texas with, towns like cities like Austin, the blue dot, right? In the middle of all that red. No. If anything, I want there to be a purple wave, right? Purple is a sign of compromise. Let's work together. Let's try to work together and stop all the political posturing and BS. That's what I want to see. There's Tony. This sucks. But the gun issue will not be solved with any help from my state. It's going to be up to states like you, California, to lead the way. Our voices don't matter in Texas right now. I hear you, but I want that to change. It's that, we can't do anything. There's just too many. No, keep fighting. And you know what? If you want to move out of California, I know that it was, I say this and I'm like, I don't know if I'd ever be able to do it. Move to a red state. Change the politics there. Have more Tonys in Texas. That's what we need. We need people that understand what's going on. It's going to take too long, but it has to stop. Again, it's this idea of nothing can be done, right? It is the way it is. They're banking on us to believe that. The apathy. They want the apathy to grow, and we can't let it grow. We can't. We have to fight against the apathy. We have to fight against the fact that, oh my God, Trump's actually running again, even though he's facing another criminal case against him. That this is our United States, but we can't succumb to it. We cannot succumb to apathy. Apathy is going to be the true killer of us all if we just stop caring about it. LAX says, I won't even vacation in a red state.
Yeah.
Tony says there's no giving up. Hell no. Good. That's exactly right. We just need to say, nope. You know what? The fight's going to be a bit harder. They count on us giving up. They really, really do. I know. And I love you, Spy. Stupid sports betting took away the best radio show. Yes, it did. Damn it. All right. We're going to do some headlines. Continue commenting on this. Also coming up, what did I want to talk about? Oh, hold on. I wanted to throw this one little line in. But Newsom is going to the TV channel that your people in Texas watch, Tony. He's going on Sean Hannity on Monday. So is something I'm going to watch.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be interesting.
He's agreed to a sit-down interview with Sean Hannity. It's going to take place Monday.
Sean Hannity is going to get obliterated by Governor Newsom.
I hope so. I really freaking hope so.
There is no way he's going to get away with the kind of crap that he just lies that he spews. Newsom will call him on everything. It's beautiful.
Know. And Newsom he's younger, but he's a seasoned politician.
Yeah.
Although this is the thing, you always worry about your children. I worry about my politician. He can get off on tangents where it's like, dude, bring it.
He does.
I mean, if you've ever been to a press conference with him, it's like, wrap it up, man.
And
like,
sometimes
come on.
when he does TV, he's trying to be a little too slick.
Yeah.
And I hope he just drops that but he's armed with a lot of facts and figures.
He knows it. He knows
it all. So I have high hopes for this. This is good.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, so he's going to be on 6 o'clock our 6 o'clock our time. It's going to take place in Sacramento. So at least he'll be on his home turf. It's going to cover it's going to take, So it says the interview is going to air and will take place at the governor's mansion in Sacramento. He's going to touch on the 28th Amendment, California's economy, immigration, possible 2024 run, which is not going to include Newsom, but I'm sure he's going to weigh in on that. Yeah. So we shall see. I will be watching that. That is on Monday.
That's the one thing they could do to get me to flip over to Fox, right?
Oh, God, that's true. Although I think we'll carry it. KTVU will carry it.
Okay.
I bet. You know what I mean? Because they're Fox.
It's not really like Fox Light. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So let's do some headlines with Kim. And then when we come back, I'll read more of your comments on that. We'll touch on a couple of Supreme Court decisions. Also, Kim, one of your favorite places, did you know, is on the no travel list. Maybe this doesn't surprise me. Maybe you already know. Maui is like, do not come. And we've talked about traveling to Maui and being respectful and everything like that. So I'm going to go down the list and I'll open up the conversation about if you found this out, would that change your plans? It's not changing my plan. I'm just leading with it. I'm going to Hawaii next month. I've been waiting for this trip for more than a decade.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. But I'm going to be more mindful when I'm there. And
Yeah,
I think that's
good.
also the point, right?
Are we going to talk about this or are we talking about it now?
No. We're going to talk about it after.
Okay.
We're going to talk about it after. Also, Jefferson Graham's coming up. He does PhotoWalks TV. His show airs, I think he has a new one every Saturday. So we'll definitely check in with him. I do also want to touch on the Instagram pedophile thing, which is just kind of gross. So that's all coming up. Click that thumbs up button. I love it. You love it. YouTube loves it. Here's Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Let's start here. The top Democrat in the House says extreme MAGA Republicans, MAGA, I don't know what you want to say. They've stopped Congress from doing the business of the American people. That's from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He says Republicans need to decide whether they're going to be responsible policymakers or bend the knee to hardline conservatives. His comments come after a small group of conservatives went on a revolt and blocked Republican-backed legislation from reaching the floor this week. This story should be concerning to a lot of us, I think. China will pay Cuba several $billions to establish a spy base focused on the southeastern United States. That is according to the Wall Street Journal, which cited U.S. officials familiar with this highly classified intelligence. The electronic eavesdropping facility on the island country would be about 100 miles away from Florida. New York may soon join California in addressing the issue of slavery reparations. A new bill to commission a study on slavery reparations for Black New Yorkers is expected to pass this week in the state legislature. If it is passed, it would create the state's Community Commission on Reparations Remedies. So it looks like they're looking into it as well. Have an update on this story. Remember Jasper Wu? How could you ever forget him? Well, this is a shooting in Oakland that killed this 23-month-old boy 2 years ago, little Jasper Wu. Charges now have been reduced for both suspects in the case. Prosecutors say they were aiming at another car on Interstate 880 when a stray bullet hit Jasper Wu while he was riding in his car seat. The men no longer face the possibility of life without parole or the death penalty. They are still charged with murder and going to trial. If convicted, they will spend the rest of their lives behind bars, if convicted. Yeah. So sad, this one. There is a nationally syndicated talk show host that is now suing an artificial intelligence company for defamation. His name is Mark Walters. He alleges ChatGPT made up a case that accused him of defrauding and embezzling funds from the Second Amendment Foundation. This is believed to be the first defamation lawsuit filed involving ChatGPT. And as Nikki was just talking about regarding the ability to pass conservative states when you're talking about making real changes with gun laws, social conservatism is on the rise in the United States. A new Gallup poll shows 38% of Americans say they are conservative or very conservative when it comes to social issues. 38% of Americans. It's a 5-point jump from last year, and it is the highest since 2012. Use WhatsApp? Well, Meta is about to debut WhatsApp channels. The new feature will let people and organizations send messages and updates that are broadcast to followers. It's seen as the latest step from Meta to monetize WhatsApp. Irvine-based Rivian, getting out of Hayward, the Southern California electric vehicle company, listed more than 350,000 square feet of industrial space for sublease in Hayward. That property, which Rivian leased less than a year ago, is still under construction. And this is a nice story. Out of all the states, Nikki, what do you think is the most romantic?
Out of all the states?
Out of all of our states, what's the most romantic state?
I mean, I'm partial to California.
No? Sorry, no.
Not us. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. Most romantic. Vermont?
Nice. Snow rides, right? The horse-drawn snow ride?
Yeah,
no?
it's not New York. No. I don't know what.
Okay, I would have thought Hawaii, because a lot of people
Oh, well,
honeymoon
duh.
in Maui, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
That is
yeah.
not the case. Of all the states in the country, New Jersey stands above all the others as
Jersey?
the most romantic. This is the conclusion from a fine jewelry company, Mark Brumond. The company studied Google data for searches on engagement and wedding rings, romantic getaways, and romantic destinations, and they came away with
With
New
Jersey.
Jersey in the top.
No. Yeah, Liz. No.
No,
I have
please.
never in the history of ever said, you know where I want to go? No, I'm not knocking New Jersey, but it's not like I'm thinking I want to go on a romantic trip and I'm going to Jersey. Although I've never been there. So maybe I'm judging anybody from Jersey. Is it romantic? I hear it can be beautiful, I think, if you get up to where the
You've got the
forests are.
Jersey Shore, and you've
Is that
got
romantic, the Jersey
no,
Shore?
I've never been there. I don't know. It just wouldn't have
Yeah.
been my choice either. So that one surprised me.
I lived in Jersey years ago. And she says, no, not happening. So there you
No. No, thank you.
go. Oh,
Please
that's
take me to
hilarious.
Maui instead.
Yeah, no. Think
Oh,
again.
this show is crowdfunded, which means we rely on you to fund the show. You can find the Patreon and the PayPal links at theNikkiMedoroShow.com. And of course, the Super Chat is live here on YouTube. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, Lori says it's called the Garden State for some reason. New Jersey is more than its cities. True. You know, and again, I'm totally wrong. I'm so wrong. I should not judge a place I've never been. Right? I should not judge a place I've never been to. I've never been to New Jersey. So, sorry, Jersey. It's just not top of mind when I think romance. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of Supreme Court rulings. So, you know, when we always make assumptions about this U.S. Supreme Court, right? It is a conservative court, so we know that. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to vote the way we think they're going to vote. Now, it was split. It's not like it was unanimous, but it was a 5-4 vote in favor of some Black residents in Alabama. So the 5-4 ruling was in favor of these Black voters who challenged the lawfulness of the congressional voting lines in Alabama. And basically, they said that it violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And that basically means that they were racially gerrymandered. Do things like this give you hope a little bit that, you know, okay, I know that Roe v. Wade and there's a bunch of other issues that I do not trust this court with the 10-foot pole. But the fact that at least they protected something like this, maybe not all is lost. Now, these voters and the voting rights groups challenged the boundaries under Section 2 that prohibits any voting procedure that denies the right to vote on account of race. The challengers argue the redistricting plan diluted the power of Black voters by preventing them from electing their preferred candidates in all but one congressional district. Now, they're doing this in other states as well. Now, and this is not a conservative thing. Both Democrats and Republicans gerrymander. Let's just get that right out there. They love to, I mean, and obviously you can only draw congressional lines, every 10 years. But I do think that how do you think, this is a better question, how do you think the lines should be drawn? And I know that you have to take in population and what have you, but I never understood why they weren't more in line. I know they can't be directly in line, but more in line with school districts or something like that. Like, why can't it make sense? Because if you look at some of the lines on some of these friggin' maps, it's like, where the hell did they get this idea that this one little area, let's carve this one little area out of the city and or of the county, and that's going to be over here or there? It's obviously gerrymandered. There should be some sort of rhyme or reason to how these lines are drawn up. And obviously in Alabama, they took it a bit too far, and the Supreme Court actually threw out their map. So, I mean, that's good for Alabama and Black voters there, but I know that we have a long way to go.
Do you know who didn't vote for it?
Yeah. So Clarence Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Barrett all dissented.
So not only did Justice Clarence Thomas not vote for it, he wrote a 50-page dissent about his disagreement with the ruling and why voting rights should be gutted, basically.
Yeah.
I'm disgusted, really, with him.
He shouldn't be on the court. right? I don't. I think that if there was anybody that should get his ass kicked off, it's him. But that's never going to happen. Our rules are not set up that way. I will say that our founding fathers, I know they wanted like this whole like separation, right? 3 powers or what have you. But there is no checks and balance on our judicial branch of government. There just isn't. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Nothing more than a racial entitlement to roughly proportional control of elective offices, limited only by feasibility, wherever different radical or racial groups consistently prefer different candidates. That's what he said.
Oh, whatever. Clarence Thomas can suck it. I'm glad that I'm glad he was in the minority, but it was 5-4. So let's not, I'm not throwing confetti that on this whole entire thing, but you have to agree though. I mean, again, it's my political bias that's showing, right? I understand that Democrats gerrymander just like Republicans do, but I feel like the motivation of it is different, right? Like we're trying to protect the rights of people versus take away the rights of people. Does that make sense? But I know that is a completely politically biased way of coming at it. So I'm leading with that, but I'm just saying not always. It seems that conservatives and Republicans are really trying to eat away at the rights of people, while Democrats, by large, are trying to protect the rights of people. Now, I understand people are going to just say, what about Newsom? He's trying to take away my Second Amendment right. No, he's not. No, he's not. No one's saying you can't own a gun. Right. Just saying if you want this weapon that can kill a mass amount of people, maybe we should have some better rules around it, right? It shouldn't be a freaking free-for-all. But again, I digress. There was another Supreme Court ruling that's not as serious, but kind of fun. And we did talk about it. Remember when we talked about this? Oh, wait, I had to bring in the picture. So the Supreme Court was actually, oh, darn it. It didn't come up. I'll show the website then. Was trying to cover a trademark issue. And it had to do with Jack Daniels. So there's the picture. Do you remember? So there's this dog toy company that was making these fake Jack Daniels, which you'll see on the right. And it says, bad spaniels, the old number 2 on your Tennessee carpet. It was like making poo jokes the whole entire time. Well, the Supreme Court, they sided with Jack Daniels. Yeah. And they basically said that, yes, the toy company's toy was not covered by First Amendment free speech protections. And I actually agree with it a little bit. I understand that people aren't likely thinking that they're mistaking this toy for Jack Daniel's actual bottle, but they do have a trademark. And if you don't want your image or something very, very similar to it to be associated with dogs or poop, I could get that. Now, Kagan wrote, today's opinion is narrow. We do not decide whether the Rogers test is ever appropriate. That's kind of the law around it. She went on to say, the use of a mark does not count as non-commercial just because it parodies or otherwise comments on another product. We hold only that it is not appropriate when the accused infringer has used a trademark to designate the source of its own goods. In other words, has used a trademark as a trademark. That falls within the heartland of the trademark law, blah, blah, blah. So it's a win for Jack Daniels. They declined, though, to grant Jack Daniels' request to completely throw out the test of an appeals court that was used in favor of the toy. So it's kind of complicated. But anyways, Jack Daniels won that case. No more poop toys with the Jack Daniels logo on it. So yeah, go Jack Daniels. Okay, let's talk about traveling. Let's talk about this Hawaii test right now. So I opened up SF Gate today. Now, mind you, less than a month is my trip. Should Hawaii visitors stop traveling to Maui, the one island that I am going to? Okay. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I was like, why are you doing that? Right. So it is, and it all has to do with the number of people visiting Maui. So Maui is on the no list for 2023 over tourism issues and conflicts between the tourism industry and Native Hawaiians is listed as the reason. Now, apparently, I did not know this. The maximum number of tourists per day is supposed to be 1/3 of the resident population, or one tourist for every 3 residents. The population of Maui is about 154,000. So a third would be about 51,000. The first 4 months of 2023 saw the average daily at like over 66,000 visitors. So way more than a third. It's averaging, according to SFGate, about 43% of the population. Now, let me say this. What's the answer to this? I will also, mind you, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Native Hawaiians. I understand about colonization, and obviously it's not mainland, it's not on the mainland. It's Hawaii, it's an island and what have you. It is still part of the United States. Okay, it is. So if I'm going to be all American about it and like, well, we have a right to go there. It's a state, just like too many friggin' people come to California or too many people go to whatever. Should these rules apply? We can leave that to another day. But my question is, one, would you change your plans? If you're planning, let's say, to go to Hawaii in the next couple of years, would you look for a different location? Or you're like, you know what? I'll just be mindful when I go. And what are some of the reasons, or what are some of the solutions, I would say, to solving it? Now, Chris writes in, cheap airfare is driving it. My airfare wasn't that cheap. I'm flying Hawaiian. I'm not flying Southwest or any of those kind of, but it wasn't totally expensive, but it wasn't cheap. Also, limiting hotel rooms. I mean, if there's no place to stay, then I doubt people would go, right? So where do you put the onus? And how much of Hawaii depends on tourism? I would say it's vital to it, right? Now, I know, Kim, you go to Hawaii a lot. So what do you think about this?
So let me say I was born in Hawaii, married in Hawaii. My family likes to go back in the summer. My family often will rent a beach house in Lahaina. So there's a lot of history with my family in Hawaii.
Okay.
But because I come from that kind of background, I have a lot of respect for Hawaii.
Right.
I kind of consider it a second home. I don't go there to trash it. There are tourists that go and they leave garbage on the beaches and they fight with people that are locals and they are ugly, like the ugly American that the Europeans talk about. They go on the trails. They're not mindful of staying on the trails. They trash the trails or trample on the flora, fauna, what have you.
Right.
There are people that don't treat it well. And I think during the pandemic, Hawaiian residents got a real look at what life would be like
without
all of that. Not the nice people that come and are kind and help the economy and are, excited to be there and respectful, but without all the trash, without all the traffic, without all the honking, without all the people, kind of thinking that Hawaii is there to serve their needs. Let me bring up the road to Hana. There are people that live on this road. It is a very popular tourist destination.
Yeah.
There are wonderful stops along the way. You can see the 7 sacred pools and the black sand beaches and all kinds of things. Well, people that live there, it's, if you can't get through, there's no way to get to an emergency room. There's no way to get to places. And this road is jammed. Stop and go traffic. Well, when the pandemic hit, everyone was like, oh, there's no traffic on the road to Hana. Right? Wow. Right. So now they're considering using shuttles. So if you want to go on the road to Hana, you'll have to take a shuttle bus, and that will maybe
take some cars off the road and stuff like that.
That's one of the things they're thinking about. But also they've tried to close off some trails and things because the trails are eroding. So many people are trampling over them. And what you see is people climbing over the rails and going anyway. So I think
that's not right.
No, that's why, Nikki, you should go to Maui because you're a respectful tourist. So in order to keep these things safe, what they're saying is don't come here right now because we need to fix everything. We need to make sure that, we have rules in place that keep our island the way we want it. They have to do a blanket statement because not everybody is like you or me. Right. Not everyone goes there with respect. To respect the culture, to respect the land, to respect the people that live there. And I think that's a key difference. So that's why you should go.
I would love to
keep all
do
that in
something.
mind.
I want you to do, I'm like, do some research for me, or maybe Walter or
Yeah.
I want to do something with the children. It's my brother and I are going with our kids and our spouses. They're coming too. I want to teach about the culture, right? I would love to do some sort of tour, because I also know, and I don't know if this is actually true, but you go to some places and it's run by people that just are after the almighty dollar and aren't really teaching about culture. It's just like, I'm not thinking of Hawaii. I'm thinking of like Mexico, where it's just like, let's get you drunk, and we're not teaching anything about the area in which you're going to, right?
Sure.
Like, I want something to take the kids that's obviously interesting, and can teach about that. So you tell me, Walter, I know you're out there.
I could refer you to places on Oahu for that, but I'll have to look into Maui. Like, there's the Polynesian Cultural Center. I have friends that teach the Hawaiian language that would love to take you and show you taro fields and things that are important to the Hawaiian culture.
Yeah.
But I'll look into it on Maui for you, because that would be really cool.
Yeah, I just want to, because I want at least one, because again, we're not going for weeks on end. We're going to go out onto the ocean. I think we got a catamaran trip we're doing one day. My brother really wants to relax. He's been stressed. So it's kind of like, all right. And I'm down with that. So, but I definitely want to be with the people and give them our dollars as well. Right. I want to support that type of thing, and also teach the kids. They've never been to Hawaii before. So, I want to learn too. So send those recommendations to me.
I think it also means that, people look at their sunscreen and don't wear the kind of sunscreen that hurts the coral reefs or the wildlife. These are, all the things you have to think about, because when you talk about the numbers of tourists, I think you said 51,000, and all of that going into the ocean, because people are going to swim in the ocean when they're there. It's all about being respectful and trying to respect the land, and just knowing how much of an impact that many people can have on it.
Absolutely. I know that the hotel that we're staying at, because after I read this article, I'm like, well, is that hotel being environmentally friendly, water use and overwatering and all that sort of thing? And yes, they follow all these things, and they give complimentary sunblock that is reef safe to everybody that comes there, which is awesome, because you need that. So, and happy World Oceans Day. Thank you, Ms. Organic.
It is, as a matter of fact, World Oceans Day.
That's awesome.
Thank you for bringing it up.
So, we'll continue to talk about this, but we have Jefferson Graham waiting in the wings. We'll do a couple of headlines with Kim first, and then we'll talk to Jefferson Graham. He used AI. Dun, dun, dun. No, just kidding. But he used it in a pretty cool way. So I have a couple of pictures.
Feel free to go to him first, because I feel like I just ended.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Let's go to Jefferson Graham, though. So here's our friend, Jefferson Graham. Hi, my friend. Happy Thursday.
Good to see you again, Nikki. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been gone the last couple of times. So now, again, I think you were in my neck of the woods. Where were these pictures taken? Because you sent them to me. Was it the dunes? Was it Bonnie
Pismo Beach Dunes.
Pismo Beach. There we go.
Do you consider that your neck of the woods?
No.
It's
a bit of a drive.
I
was thinking Bonnie Dune.
It's halfway between us.
There we go.
If you go to San Luis Obispo, they tell you it's halfway between San Francisco and LA. If you go to Cambria, they say the same thing. If you go to Pismo Beach, they say the same thing. Whatever. It's it's good. It's halfway. It's a wonderful place. Pismo Beach is the only place in California where you can drive your car on the beach legally.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. You can sand dunes and sand.
Well, in your car. I mean, I've driven my Hyundai Elantra on.
Have you?
On the sand. Yeah.
I know I went there for my anniversary, and there was all these dune buggy like advertisements everywhere. We brought our bicycles, and we weren't riding those on the beach. So
you just have to check the tide tables and make sure that you're there at low tide. Otherwise, the tide might wash you away. Right. I have not had that problem. But if you take the road all the way to the end and get out of your car, you're in Saudi Arabia. These dunes are just out of this world. I have a video coming up on Saturday from the Pismo Beach Dunes. And I hope that everybody will tune in and check it out. YouTube.com/PhotoWalks TV. We have 2 pictures if you have them there.
I have right here.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. That's crazy.
So what I thought, this new Photoshop beta has come out with AI built in, where you can say, please changed things in here for me. And instead of doing a massive altering, I just took out the footprints.
Okay.
So
Wanna show
and
it right
I think Nikki could show
Yeah.
that. Right
There
there.
you go. Look at that. So
Pretty
we
cool.
footprints.
Now
No footprints.
I could have done that before, but it would have taken me a long time. And this way, I just drew a lasso, a circle around the footprints, and just clicked the button, and they were gone.
That is awesome. I mean, imagine, I could just imagine a bunch of influencers also like doing that. I'm alone on this mountain all by myself. No, you're not. There's like a million other people.
Well,
probably.
I actually was. I was there with my friend Amy, and we were the only people there. But somebody had been there earlier. Hence the footprints.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty cool. So what else were you doing in Pismo? Were you on like kind of a photo walk to do that?
Yeah. I did a whole bunch of episodes. I did Morro Bay. I don't know if you guys have been to Morro Bay before, but Morro is famous for having a 571-foot rock that is in the center of town. And it is, wherever you go in town, you will see this rock. And so I have a friend up there who's a local photographer, and I said, let's come up with every different way to photograph the rock, whether it be north, south, left, right, west, east.
Keep moving, keep moving.
Yeah, we came up with 13 great angles on Morro Bay Rock. That video is up now. We got Pismo coming up this week. I did 2 others while I'm there. I haven't done the edit yet, but there's a great hike there called the Pismo Preserves, and then another one at Montana de Oro State Park. So those will be coming up soon.
Let me ask you before I let you go, Jefferson, since you used AI to remove those footprints, do you imagine AI being used more in photography, and do you like that?
It will be used more, but the thing that I used it for is stuff that people will be doing a lot of, which is basic retouching and taking out distractions. I did another thing where it was a picture in Japan, and it was 2 women on the street, and I wanted to take off the name of the restaurant that was right behind them, and I wanted to take off a street sign, and just little things that I could always do in Photoshop. It just made it a lot easier. As far as creating Photoshop AI art, yeah, we're going to see it. I don't think it's great when we pick up a magazine and we can start picking at all the things that they added or altered. There's a great photo instruction website called Kelby One. They did an example of a bride where they changed her dress. They put necklace on her that wasn't there. They changed her earrings. That may be going a little too far, but I think they were just trying to show what could be done.
I don't know if you've heard of this, and maybe it's just like my Facebook algorithm and the groups that I follow, but there was this kind of a business professional women's group that was saying all you have to do is send this website any picture. It could be, a candid that you took off your phone with other people, and they'll create headshots for you with that. And all of them say the same thing. I got like 20 images, about 5 really were good, but the ones that were good were really good. I mean, that's kind of scary because it's putting real photographers out of business. And I think there's something about that personal touch of working with a photographer.
Yeah, I got the same thing on Facebook that you did, and I did them, and I think
you did?
50. I think it was 50 of them, and I had to pay $10 for it or something. But they were so fake.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, one of them made me look like the guy from Arrested Development. What's his name? Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, I look just like him, which is good. And every one of them took 10 years off my life. And I just think they were so phony that you couldn't really get away with using them. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But luckily, I do headshots and people still knock on my door for that. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, and especially with headshots and getting the right kind of branding on it, right? Like standing a certain way, what you want to be it to be looking like. I'm not leaving that up to AI. I like using a real photographer for stuff like that.
Oh, good. So, well, I look forward to doing your headshot on my
There we go. Next time I need headshots, Jefferson.
Now, can I quickly tell you about some of the new iOS features that were announced this week? iOS is the iPhone operating system, and every September they add new features, which are always cool because if you have an old iPhone, it basically updates and gives you new stuff that you don't have, so you don't have to buy a new phone. So that's kind of fun. Usually comes out the week before. Now, my favorite new feature is AirDrop. AirDrop is the way that I could share a photo with Kim or Nikki, and we sort of like play around with the menu, and eventually it will get there. Well, now you can
Okay, hold on.
take 2 phones and just put them back to back.
No.
Yeah. So that's my favorite new feature.
Hold on.
And
So hold on. So if I stand too close to somebody, am I sharing my pictures with them?
You know, all I know is what they announced. I haven't been able to try anything yet, so I can't
That's
give
kind
you
of scary. Like, I didn't want to send you that picture. Get that back.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, there's usually a section in AirDrop that says for friends only, or something like that. And so you probably will have
I can see how dangerous that can get, though, right? I mean, all of a sudden.
But that's a good one, though. That's a good one that you brought up. Okay. I've talked to you guys about face tagging in the Photos app and how it will really help you find more photos easier and faster. And now you can tag your cats and dogs.
Oh, I have a million pictures of my Snuggy Buggy boy. I swear.
Well, is Snuggy Buggy boy named Snuggy Buggy?
No, Nugget.
It's Nugget, but he has a million nicknames. Nugget.
Okay.
Yes.
Then there's a new one on a selfie where if you put up your thumbs and there's a few other gestures, fireworks will start to go in the background.
Stop it. Oh, but I don't have that right now. I have to wait for the update. Is that what you're telling me? You have to wait.
You can use photos of yourself and make
I'm sending you a picture every day.
Yeah.
Well, you know how I love the text features. Did you know if you type pew, P-E-W, P-E-W, pew, pew on your phone and the text someone, all of a sudden like light lasers start going off? It's crazy fun. Love it.
So this stuff is this is what people will actually be using as opposed to a $3,500 virtual reality headset. That's my take.
I'm not a big virtual reality person. I know maybe the younger kids are into it. That is a dark road I don't want to go down. I don't want to spend all my time with something over my face in some other world that's very attractive. I mean, you put Matthew McConaughey Jefferson in virtual reality, I might never leave. I mean, and then
because you would get sore and you would say, I can't take this anymore. My experience is 5-10 minutes and that's about it. Apparently watching a movie with the new headset is amazing, but I don't know that I'd make it 2 hours.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. I'm not into it, but I like those features and I like the thumb up features. I think those little things are what makes the phone fun and like a toy. You get too expensive and too out there. I'm not about it. At all.
So hundreds of thousands of people will buy the new one, the headset. And because Apple could come up with something for $10,000 and people would buy it. Because they just want to have the latest and greatest.
Yeah, right? They just want. I know people like that. They just need to have the latest gadget. I am not in that boat, thank God. Okay, so
another way to remove us though from life.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we're already looking at our phones all the time. We're already not having our heads up and being involved in what's happening around us. Is it just another way to escape? And if we're escaping, then are we not paying attention to things that are happening? I don't know. I worry.
Their company line is that it brings people together that are sitting and isolated in a room. I'm not buying it because
they're isolated in a room because they're stuck on their phone.
Yeah, well, I just can't see a family of 4 sitting in the living room all with headsets on. Walter has a question. Does it correct for vision? No, you'll have to pay for that. If you have glasses, there'll be an optical setting and somebody will have to do some a movement on there, which apparently could cost as much as $500. Because I was trying to figure out, this thing starts at $3,500, but it starts. What's it going to end at? Okay.
No. And
taxes alone in California is
the bells and whistles should be included. I mean, the vision correction should be included for that price tag. That's what I think. I mean,
it would be nice, right?
Right. I mean, so if you don't correct for vision, then it's just blurry. Is that what happens if you're?
I guess so.
Yeah.
If you wear, I just have wearing reading glasses, so I would be fine. I don't even need to have them on. So there. But for people who do need glasses, they'll have to have the vision corrected in the headset.
That's annoying. Yeah, I'm not buying any. I like the other features though, the free features that come with an update. Jefferson Graham, Saturdays, the Pismo, Morro Bay, that's going to be included on Saturday.
Well, Morro Bay is up now.
Oh, okay.
PhotoWalksTV.com I'm sorry, photowalkstv.com or youtube.com/photowalkstv. And the episode is up there now. The episode from the Pismo Beach Dunes will be up on Saturday.
Perfect. Jefferson Graham, PhotoWalks TV. Find him on YouTube. Thanks so much. We'll talk next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, VR. Wes apparently, though, is a huge VR user. Did not know that about you, Wes. How did you not share that with me earlier? You've been a techie guy since a teen in the 80s. Got hooked by having Apple LLE. What is that? Apple LLE. What is that? I know it's a. You have to explain that to me. But yeah, he plays games. Now I've tried. This might surprise all of you guys. I have tried the Oculus once in my life. Once. And I played the scary one where you feel like you're on a platform and you have to walk out. And then there's like it's a scary one.
Right.
It freaked me out. And the thing that freaked me out the most is I really was frightened when I was standing on the edge of this thing. I really felt like it. It was kind of cool. I don't want to be that isolated from my surroundings. I don't want to feel like that it's that real. Because you know what's real? This is real right here. And I want to be more in touch with. I want to spend less time online. I want to spend less time on electronics. I really, really do. That's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about going to Hawaii, right? Like just being outside, getting the kids away from their electronics, getting me away from my electronics, seeing things, touching things, tactile things, all those sorts of things. And I don't know. And I'm not knocking it, Wes. Obviously I hope that you balance real life with VR life, but it's not for me.
Ron Owens used to do this segment with all the new tech gadgets with Jennifer Jolly.
Yeah.
And one time, and he would always do it a couple months before Christmas or the month before Christmas. So it would be, you would know what you wanted to buy people for Christmas. So once he had this gadget on that was a VR headset where it was Star Wars games.
Okay.
And you could fight with lasers, whatever.
Yeah.
Lightsabers. Thank you. And super fun. And I put it on and I thought, ooh, that's cool. And so I bought one for my brother-in-law. We'll never know what to get him.
Right.
And the kids used it that Christmas day. And then it went back in the box and no one ever used it again.
Really?
It's just one of those things where it's like, that's cool.
It's a novelty.
Okay, moving on to the next thing, right?
Right.
So and that's kind of how I think of this, but maybe it'll catch on, I don't know.
I think it matters the house. Like I know my best friend, her son got one a couple of years, and that's the one that I tried. And she's like, oh, he plays it all the time, but I haven't heard of him playing it anymore. I mean, he's really into sports. He plays baseball a lot. So I'm assuming, and I don't know. But again, I don't want to add something that I might like. I don't want to like VR. How about that? Yeah. I don't want to like a piece of technology that actually physically removes me from reality. Yeah. I think that's the problem sometimes for people. Now, if I went into so they have these places, my son turns 12 tomorrow. I'm going to have a 12-year-old as my
happy birthday
child.
Almost.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the places I was thinking of taking him was those VR places where you could play video games with your friends with a VR thing. And you go into this booth and it's like, I don't know, 5 of you can do it at one time. And I was like, that's kind of cool. It's a set amount of time. It's a cool thing to do. It's like, but it's this set time, then we're out. We don't own it, that sort of thing. Right. But he decided he wanted to go see the new Spider-Man movie. So that's what we're doing for his birthday. Cool. Yeah. Exactly. So, and we could all do that together. But I don't know. That'd be kind of cool, David. Kind of like 3D movies, cool to experience once. Yeah, if I could I'll go down that rabbit hole. If I could pay extra for a ticket, because they already do that kind of 4D, your chair moves type of thing in the movie theater. If I could put on a headset and experience like a scary movie, like I was actually there, I'd probably do that. But again, it's that moment and then I'm out. I don't want that at home. Yeah. I'd be watching all the scary movies. Don't you dare try to act like I have a rotary phone. I really wanted one back in the day, though. I did, but no. I just feel like let's be with each other more, right? Let's just be with each other more. Okay, let's add this to the whole social media technology thing. The Instagram. Did you talk about this Instagram thing yesterday? Because I know the news came out, but I feel like it was probably before the show. So Instagram has been found to helping a pedophile network have more reach. Okay. It's really scary. I'm going to play you a little bit. This was on Squawk Box on CNBC. And they talked with, hold on, his name is Alex Stamos. He's the former Facebook chief security officer. Now understand Meta owns Instagram. So when we say Facebook, Meta, it's the same thing, right? And they're saying that Instagram is connecting people, children also, to this pedophile network. Here, let me share my screen. Here is Alex Stamos again, former Facebook chief security officer, talking about what happened. And again, let's just throw a VR thing on this, right? And what you're actually seeing, experiencing. It's freaking frightening. Here we go.
Yeah, so this is a research report by myself and two of my colleagues, David Thiel and Renee DiResta at the Internet Observatory. And what we found working alongside the Wall Street Journal is that there's a huge network of what we call self-generated CSAM. So this is self-generated child sexual abuse material. These are teenagers who are putatively selling their own imagery and videos effectively as a commercial business that they have set up on a variety of platforms. And while there are a bunch of companies involved, Instagram turns out to be probably the most key one because it is the place where these buyers and sellers find each other. The buyers use hashtags that are not that hard to guess. I'm not going to say any on air, but tags that they use to find a couple of initial buyers. And then what happens is that there's hundreds and hundreds of accounts of sellers who are connected to one another, who then the algorithm that Instagram has shows them and it introduces them to more potential sellers of this material. So it is a real problem, and it is something that we have told Instagram about several weeks ago that they've started to address, but it really is a huge issue there.
So he says it's been happening at least for a year because most of the accounts are from a year. I do want to share a little bit more because he was also talking, let me bring this up a little bit. He was also talking about solving this problem, and is it even possible?
So it's definitely not an insurmountable problem. Getting rid of everybody doing anything bad on Instagram, that's impossible. Not allowing people to openly sell child abuse material, some of which is not just naked photos and such, but some really, really horrible, terrible content. It is totally possible. And I think what's happened here is that Meta has really focused on AI and automation as the backbone of their content moderation strategy, of what we call trust and safety in the industry. They've really focused on how can we have computers do this work for us in all these languages at all of this scale across the world. And they've de-emphasized having people just go and do the gumshoe work of looking for these kinds of networks and taking them down. And I think it should be an indication that if three academics with limited data access, with the tools that we can build on the outside of the company, if we're able to do this work on an annual budget that is less than Meta pays for Post-it notes probably, then their reinvestment in having human beings do that kind of work is probably the only appropriate way forward. And that's something we've talked about them. The other thing that turns out is because of the work that we've reported them, they found that there was a serious technical flaw that was closing reports. If somebody had reported that one of these accounts was selling child abuse materials, that those reports would not get seen by a human, would be closed automatically by a computer without any action being taken. So there are specific technical problems that they're working on.
So that's frightening.
Yeah, very frightening.
I mean, think about that. It's. Have you ever? And this isn't. And Twitter was also found because they gutted their safety group of people that they also are trying to solve this problem. But I've been on Twitter, not so much Instagram, but Twitter, and all of a sudden I'm scrolling on my feed and there's women's breasts on my timeline. And I'm like,
I've seen it on
when
Facebook.
do I see boobs on Twitter?
Where you're scrolling and there's some lady who's advertising herself. I've seen that. Yeah.
And it's I saw somebody masturbating.
Like, how did this get in
on there? And I'm like, what is my algorithm showing me right now? And I'll block it and I report it as, spam or whatever.
Right.
But think about that. And again, these are kids. Obviously nobody's watching their damn phones. right? Taking naked pictures of themselves and making some money off of it.
Oh my God.
And that's a crime. That is a crime.
What a nightmare.
I don't know again, he's talking about bringing in more human eyes, which, as we were just talking about virtual reality and AI and all those sorts of things, this is an area in which you need human beings to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Although, on the flip side of that, would you want to be that human being? You've heard stories about people that are in that group that are hired to look for the most horrific things that are on social media and pull them. I would not want that to be my job. You don't want to see the most depraved things that people put on social media: child abuse, animal abuse, pedophilia, right? But it does take human eyes to realize that. So on one hand, you use AI because it's quicker. You can go through many accounts. Obviously, things fell through the cracks here. On the flip side, though, having human beings look at that day in and day out is not a job anybody can keep for very long. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would be absolutely traumatized.
You always have those visions in your head. I don't even want to see it once, let alone every day.
I know. I mean, there are things, I will tell you this. There is one video, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I must have been in my early 20s. And obviously the internet was just kind of going, right? I mean, it was early days, not early days, but earlier days. And I remember a bunch of my guy friends were looking at this really horrific pornographic video and they were laughing about it. And I remember I looked at it and the image of what I saw is still seared in my brain.
Burned in. Yeah.
Burned in. And it was the most disgusting. It was not sex. Let's just go there. It was gross. Okay.
Some things you don't ever want to see.
And I'm like, why are you guys showing? One, why are you guys looking at this? And two, and literally I cannot get this one scene out of my mind. And that was 20 years ago. And so in 20 years, if one image has been burned into my mind, think about someone whose job it is to look at this stuff day in and day out. It's gross. And I don't find myself to be a prude, but it is gross. And so I feel for people. We have to protect the kids though, right? You don't want your kids selling their bodies online to pedophiles, right? And watch the crap that you put online. All right, one more quick story and then we'll get to Kim's news. Sorry, Kim. One more quick thing because it's just kind of kid related and I want your take on this, Kim. There's a recall that's happening and it's on the boppy. Did you have a boppy, Kim, with your baby?
Oh, yeah, I totally had a boppy. More than one.
Oh, really? Okay.
I had a boppy in every room. Yeah.
So I did not have a boppy. I had the breast friend. My breast friend. I had this. And I'm telling you, that thing's huge. So what it does is it just kind of wraps around you. And it's like a platform and you could breastfeed on it. And Marley, especially, because she was my first kid. With Dylan, I was an old hat. I didn't need any of them special pillows. But with Marley, I needed everything, right? And I remember she would just fall asleep on it. I would literally take it and I would hand the whole thing to James and like, take the baby. Yeah. Was the boppy that one thing that you needed? It was the lifesaver. What was a baby item for you that you're like, I could not have lived without it?
The Snap and Go stroller cart, where it's like this frame that your car seat plugs into.
Right.
And it's so instead of having to haul around a whole extra stroller and take the baby in and out of the car seat, you would just lift the car seat out of the car and it would snap into this frame that had
so
wheels.
Easy.
Off you go. That was an awesome thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Our car seat and stroller went together. Yeah. But yeah, that frame is way easier than dragging a whole. Although I will tell you, my arms, I don't think I was ever as like strong as I was when I had to like do the stroller, carry the baby, all that kind of crap. Someone was asking what's a boppy. It's like a pillow. It's been recalled though.
My boppy was a U shape. So it had like now they have that padding in the middle, but mine didn't look like that. Mine was like a giant U-shaped pillow.
Yeah. So apparently this one, the way it's designed, they were recalled after reports of at least 10 babies since 2015 suffocating in them.
Oh, no.
So just, I don't, the reason why I bring it up, I'm just bringing it up to kind of talk about the things that we desperately loved when we were pregnant. But again, when you see things like this, and then all of a sudden you're on mommy groups and I'm not using this anymore. Does anybody want this? This is something to be mindful of. So 2 more infants died in the months following the recall that happened actually in 2021. And so they're re-announcing this boppy recall
I
because
mean, if you just left it like you left your baby laying on that and it rolled over, it could probably suffocate into the.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Let's see. They were involving boppy and other loungers. So I'm assuming it was something.
Yeah.
So they said, I'm trying to find out the actual story of it because I'm thinking you're absolutely right. So they said loungers come in various sizes. The company's popular U-shaped nursing pillow, which is the one that I think that you had.
Yeah, it would fit around your midsection.
Yeah, they rolled over, it turned their faces
Yeah.
against the lounger's fabric.
Mhm.
Because remember the bed, what do you call it, that was around the crib? The
No,
bumpers?
the bumpers, yeah.
I had the mesh one that came out because it was breathable. So even if you're a baby, so it was kind of padded, but it was mesh. And so it stopped them from going through the slats. But if their face was up against it, they could breathe through it.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody knows, especially first-time mothers, not saying can't happen to, but when you're a first-time mom, you are just so worried something like that can happen.
I saw someone post a picture the other day of their nursery and they had one of the old
Everything
bumpers,
wrong?
but it was, yes. And it was like this high all around the crib. And I'm thinking to myself, do you not understand? Like, no.
Or
What do
blankets
you
everywhere
say?
and tons of stuffed animals. You're like, the baby needs nothing. We had the sleep
Nothing.
sack. Did you ever use the sleep sacks?
Oh,
I
all
loved
the
it.
time.
It
Yeah.
zipped up and it was so
Yep.
your baby was warm, but it was free to move. And yeah, I had the bed that the kind of the crib that attached to the bed. I forget what it was called right now, but she wasn't in the bed. She was in her own, but I could just reach over and kind of grab her. But yeah, it's just the mommy groups, they share and share alike, which is great on one hand. But when recalls like this happen, you have to be really careful.
Did you ever see someone post a picture of their baby in the car seat carrier and it's not strapped in properly?
Or it's
and
loose.
It's in the car. It's loose. And you're like, should I say something? Like, you
Yes,
can't put your
raise
kid in the
that thing
car
up.
that way. You
Right.
can't do that. But then, you don't want to be that mom who's like, I know all the answers or whatever. You don't
It's
want to.
so hard to know your place. But at the same time,
Yeah.
how bad would you feel if something bad happened? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, because when you put
know.
him in the car seat, the plastic, the thing has to be across the chest and it'll be
Yeah.
across the stomach. And it's like, nope, lift
Right.
that up, lift it
Yeah.
up. Don't take that jacket off. Why do you have your baby in a jacket in a car? Like all of
I
these
know.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being in mommy groups and
Yeah.
feeling the judgment and then also being outside of that age and looking back and being like, I don't want to be that mom.
Yeah.
Really can't do that. It's tough. It's tough, but it's for the children. Okay, Kim's going to do some news. We're going to lighten things up with a couple of food stories. Think about it. Put it in the comments. What is your number one favorite snack to eat if you're on a road trip? Those apparently snacks can make or break the trip. I always feel there's that meme, like any road trip, every time you go in to buy snacks, it's like a 10-year-old with like $100. You just buy every piece of crap food. I maintain that is true. Absolutely true. But what is your favorite? Let me know in the chat. And also, do you think the Rolling Stones selling out by teaming up with Keurig? The Rolling Stones and Keurig coffee. Is it a sellout? I mean, they're kind of getting up there in age, so maybe they're looking to make some extra money. I don't know. You guys tell me. Plus, click that thumbs up button. We love it. Thank you so much. Here's Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Let's get right to former President, thank God, Trump. Former President Trump requesting a new trial in the E. Jean Carroll sexual abuse and defamation case against him. A grand jury found him liable last month, ordered him to pay $5 million in damages. His team argues in a court filing, the $2 million awarded to Carroll was grossly excessive because the jury found Trump didn't commit rape, but sexual abuse. The filing says Trump's actions were a far cry from rape. I guess that's worth less to them. The Governor Gavin Newsom here in California, as Nikki mentioned, will be sitting down for an interview with Fox host Sean Hannity. The network apparently saying the interview will air sometime next week. It'll be the Democrats' first sit down with a conservative news channel in more than a decade. Fox News says he will discuss immigration. He will discuss the economy, current issues that affect California, and the upcoming 2024 presidential election. So we'll have to see how GovGav does on Fox. More than 200 people that were stranded in Russia are now back in San Francisco. This Air India flight left Delhi Tuesday, but it had to make an emergency landing in Siberia due to engine problems. Siberia. In nearly 2 days for a replacement plane to arrive. This despite border restrictions that don't allow flights from Russia to the United States. The airline confirmed the new plane touched down overnight with all passengers and crew on board. And again, so everyone that had taken that flight from India to San Francisco now safely in San Francisco. The United States and the UK standing together in their unwavering support for Ukraine and its war with Russia. This is President Biden, along with the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak from the UK. President Biden is saying long-term security in Ukraine is the goal as Russia continues its invasion of the country. He said he believes Congress will continue to provide funding for Ukraine despite some lawmakers voicing opposition to doing so. And it looks like the US and the UK on the same page. 3 out of the 4 suspects accused of using pig's blood for acts of vandalism in Santa Rosa will be going on trial. A judge dismissed the charges against the 4th suspect Wednesday, saying it's not enough evidence against her. In 2021, the 3 suspects allegedly smeared pig's blood on a public art installation and on the home of a former Santa Rosa police officer. The officer testified as an expert witness for Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer later convicted of murdering George Floyd. The PGA Tour's merger with Saudi-backed LIV Golf could lead to it losing its tax-exempt status. Democratic Congressman John Gerrymandering introducing a bill called the No Corporate Tax Exemption for Professional Sports Act in response to the merger. It would end a tax loophole allowing professional sports leagues to not pay federal corporate income tax. Gerrymandering said Saudi Arabia cannot be allowed to sports wash its government's horrific human rights abuses. He also blasted PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, accusing him and the PGA of blatant hypocrisy. Half of Americans say they disapprove of affirmative action. That's right. The Pew Research Center survey showing half of Americans don't think colleges and universities should take prospective students' racial and ethnic backgrounds into consideration. The Supreme Court decision is expected this month on the issue based on 2 cases involving Harvard and the University of North Carolina. Students for Fair Admissions Organization says affirmative action discriminates against white students. The NAACP says inequality for Black students in education still persists, and race-conscious admissions help even up the playing field.
We're going to talk about this tomorrow. There's no time. I want to get into this with everybody tomorrow. So you're going to have to come up with an opinion, Kim McAllister, on affirmative action. And I'm kind of torn on it because I have family members that have admitted that I'm going to actually do some questioning today because I wonder if their feelings about it remain the same because we're Hispanic. And so there was a time when that benefited you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But is there a solution to, if you don't support affirmative action, and again, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but if you don't support affirmative action, how do we even the playing field, right? Mm-hmm. Is there really a way of making it a blank slate? Or do you think that because of systemic racism, history, all sorts of things, that we should consider race, maybe socioeconomic things when considering to admit somebody to college? So it's a tough one. It really, really is. So again, we'll talk about that tomorrow during our Friday show.
We've seen the pictures of this mansion.
Right now, it's gorgeous.
This Casa Romantica. It is almost 100 years old. It's near the San Clemente Bluffs in Southern California.
Looks like it's going to fall off.
It pretty much is, yeah. And so they it's an old mansion, and you have people that are going there as tourists to see the gardens and the estate, but cracks started to appear in April, and the patio fell on down the hillside.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and apparently it is right above, well, right below it, the estate is a railway line connecting Laguna Niguel to Oceanside
Uh-oh.
in the San Diego area, and it runs right between that historic landmark and the beach. They had to close down the train service because debris was falling down the hill from the Casa Romantica. And so, yeah, the tracks are remaining closed. I guess there's no immediate
but yeah.
timeline to get service back up and running. And I don't know how you save that mansion.
It's
I don't know how
amazing. Yeah. It's like building homes near bluffs. You're like, who would have thought? A lot of people don't
Seemed
do
like a
that.
good idea at the time. I don't know. And lastly, this is Las Vegas opening its first cannabis-friendly hotel this week.
Oh, I heard about this. Yes.
It's called the Lexi Hotel, very
Hmm.
close to the Strip, and it's a first for Las Vegas. Developers say the 64-room property is the only cannabis-inclusive property in town. The Lexi will feature guest rooms and suites with the entire 4th floor designated for those who enjoy smoking the weed. That's where you'll find Ngaio. He's up on the 4th floor.
So wait, so you can't, could you smoke it at the pool if it's outside or no? Only on
I
the 4th
think
floor?
so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it works. It
I mean, I
seems
wouldn't go to that hotel unless I smoked weed. I don't
It's a
care what floor I'm on.
cannabis-friendly hotel, you know.
So
They have to
friendly, but you don't
inspect it at
have
the pool.
to. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But if you stay on the 4th floor, no one's going to bat an eyelash. The
Okay.
floor has a new air filtration system, according to the hotel CEO. And so they're ready to go for the weed smokers.
Interesting.
You know how they do.
A little bit of weed.
A little bit of weed. This report is crowdfunded. We rely
I
on you to help support the Nikki Medoro weed habits. You know how she
there
do.
you
How
go.
she
Yeah,
do.
I got such a headache.
You can find us on the NikkiMedoroShow.com. You got the Patreon link. You got the PayPal link. You got the merchandise link. You got all the stuff on there. Got to go check it out. The NikkiMedoroShow.com. And thank you for your support. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
And big thanks to Wes for donating $5 to the super chat. Just look for the $sign right underneath the live chat community that's happening right now, and you can throw some dollars our way. Or please consider becoming a Medorable by going to the NikkiMedoroShow.com. All right, so let's talk. Well, we were talking about weed, so let's talk about some food, some snacks. There was a study that was looking at snacks. The funniest statistic out of this study was 61% of people admitted they will not go on a road trip with someone who does not allow snacking. When would that ever I've never had someone say, okay, we can go on this trip, but you can't eat in my car. I'm like, no.
There are those people that have like the pristine car. They don't want any crumbs.
I'm going to call out my good friend Brett Burkhart. Okay. Sorry, Brett. I adore you. I doubt he's going to watch this. So now I don't know about snacking during road trips. I'm not going to go that far, but I remember one time, I think he was hungry for something. And I was like, well, just pick up the food on the way home. And he looked at me dead serious. And he's like, no, it'll make the car smell. And I was like, and Brett, we are complete opposites. That's what made our friendship so funny. I was like, what are you talking? My car is like a garbage can of kid crap, right? And I'm like eating, I had a long commute. There's crap everywhere in my car. His is pristine, nice, And I was like, you don't ever put fast food in your car? And he's like, well, not if I can help it because it makes it smell. So I could see maybe if you're on a road trip in a nice car that maybe, and I'm not saying Brett would never allow it. I'm not saying that, but it just reminds me of people who don't want that smell.
It is true
in their
that
car.
Also, for me, it's more the less the smell, which lasts for 5 minutes or something.
Right.
And more the detritus that goes along with it. So you'll have Cheerios or corn nuts rolling around and you can't ever get them out because they're in cracks and crevices and under seats and underneath the car mats and all over the place. So, I mean, I get why people would say that they don't want food in their car. But from my perspective, you got to live. People got to live. People got to eat.
No, I am sorry. I need snacks. Yeah. It just helps the time go by. And then again, you buy all kinds of snacks maybe that you wouldn't even get at home. Like, yes, I like beef jerky, but I only seem to get it when I'm on road trips. Pistachio nuts, or I love to stop like the cherry stands or something like that along the way. Ms. Organic says pickled chips and mandarins are cuties. I love mandarins and cuties. Pickled chips are good, although fried pickles are better. I love LAX. Look at this, Kim. Usually no snacks, but years ago I discovered hot tamales. help keep you awake and alert late at night after hours of driving.
Oh,
The
okay.
only time I eat them, I eat hot tamales way too much. It's one of my favorite candies.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about keeping it awake. Although spicy food, right, kind of gets you going and everything like that. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what is the number one snack? And do you let people snack in your car? Take snacks that don't smell. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But here's the thing. When you're on road trips, what do? You want to get there or you want to make good time. And so you go through the drive-thru and then people, and it smells. So when we took the girls down to Universal Studios for my daughter's birthday, after we were back, we had borrowed my father-in-law's van because it fits more people. And I thought I had cleaned this thing out. And he's like, so I guess there was like a French fry fight because he found all these French fries like underneath the seat. And I was like, I thought I got them all. But yeah, people were just, dropping their food every which way. And it's tough. But you do,
my kids always get stuff on the seatbelt. And then it's like, oh, gross. You got to clean the seatbelt. Yeah.
Natalie says, for me, beef jerky, the husband, gummy bears, the older son, In-N-Out, younger son, bagel, Skittles, and body armor. He claims this combo helps with car sickness.
What's body armor? Isn't that like a fragrance?
I thought that was
spray?
Is that like
I thought it was deodorant.
Yeah. Body armor. Or is it a drink? Is it an energy drink? Is there an energy drink? I know that Prime stuff is going crazy with the young boys.
I have to go back in and out again. Tell me about Prime. I don't know what that is.
Prime is like, it's not an energy drink. What's his name? Jake Paul's brother, the Paul brothers, douche canoes, I call them. Don't judge me. I don't like them. But anyways, they're behind this Prime. It's not, I think there's coconut water in it. Some of them are energy drinks and some of them aren't. My son I'm definitely one of those parents that know who makes these things. And so I was like, no, you can't get it. And then of course my son with his own money bought it, which is fine. He can buy it if he wants to, as long as it's not an energy drink. And it wasn't, it was just like the coconut water type of stuff. He tasted it. I think he just wanted to taste it. But apparently if you go to Costco, they sell them by the flats. And no, I don't think so. I love this one. You can't really snack while moving on a motorcycle. Are you riding a motorcycle? Lori, SF Tesla, you can pull over for snack breaks when not pulling over for smoke breaks. The number one thing that I love about the fact that I'm no longer a smoker, one, the car doesn't smell, and two, you don't need to constantly be stopping for smoke breaks. Chips and apples. You guys are healthy snackers. I'm like candy, chips, bananas,
junior mints and chips.
Junior mints are good. Finger snacks, fruits, burgers, and fries and stuff like that. Randy says no. Anything that keeps you awake. Peanut M&Ms. My husband loves sunflower seeds if he's driving a long distance because with this shell, because then he like has this thing that he's spitting it out and all that kind of crap. Oh yeah, body armor is a super drink.
Oh, okay. So
it's one of those drinks. I did not know. I did not know about that. But anyways, back to this study. Let's see. Let me give you some of the snacks. So, So chips top the list, 47%, then cookies, then candy. How many of you bring your pets on every car trip? My dog does really well in the car, like really well in the car. So that's good. Snacks respondents are stashing for themselves. Chocolate tops the list at 49%, then fruity at 46%, and then chewy. I'm a chewy snacker. I like chewy candy. The most popular road trip destinations include heading across the country at 40%, followed by trips up and down the East Coast and West Coast, pretty much even. And the best part of a road trip is
getting where you're going. Oh, the snacks.
The snacks. 38%, the company 34%, and stops along the way is 30%. I have not been on a long road trip in a while. Usually it's either Idaho or Arizona. Yeah. I've never done cross country. I would love to go cross country. I've wanted to do the RV trip. We've never done that. And I keep telling my husband, we need to do it now while we can force the children to still go on these trips with us.
I've been thinking about, we only have 4 more summers with these girls.
Stop it, all that crap. It doesn't have to be
4 more summers before they are not legally required to attend.
I know.
Yep.
I mean, I told you guys that I remember vividly my parents pulling my brother and I aside and saying, that's it. We're not taking you on any more trips with us. If you want to come, you're paying your own way. But as far as us paying to take you on vacation, it's over. And I was like, what? You don't want to take? Like, I remember my dad telling me that he was no longer taking me out for my birthday dinner anymore. And I was like, why? He's like, you're married. And I was like, oh. He's like, your husband can take you out. I'm like, that's me taking me out. Now when I go, I'm like, oh, we got to bring everybody. Happy birthday to me. But it's just that growing up, you're an adult now, Nikki. Not to mention every birthday dinner was at Benihana's, and I would order like the most expensive dinner because it was kind of my thing. But yeah, it's growing up so no, because Dylan is turning 12, so I have a few more.
Well, I was talking about the girls.
Our oldest, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Although I don't know. Does Julia seem like she really wants to leave when she leave to go far away for college?
I think she will. She wants to go to the University of Michigan. Now, whether she pays attention in high school and gets in, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter wants to go back east. She wants her and her cousin. They want to move to New York. And I'm like, you've never been to New York. How do you know you want to go to New York? It's
big dreams.
A dream, right? And I was like, why don't you just stay here and go to community college for a couple of years and then go to a California-based college to finish out your degree. You could stay with mama. Obviously you have to pay some bills, but it's definitely going to be cheaper. So we'll see. I don't know. I think my son definitely has big dreams too, but he hasn't shared those yet because he's my baby and I don't want him to go anywhere. I can't believe he's going to be 12 tomorrow. I cannot believe that's it. Like he's going to be a teenager after that. It makes me so sad. Oh, okay. Anyways, let's move on before I start crying. To end the show, what do you think about? Oh, I know. We'll show the balloons tomorrow. What do you think about this? So that is the Start Me Up Keurig machine. Rolling Stones is obviously letting their trademark. I should have tied this in with the trademark story. To Keurig, they're partnering up on this thing now. Keurig, which I didn't know is part of Keurig Dr. Pepper. I didn't know this. So the Rolling Stones are hoping for TikTok magic by tying into trends on the platform like Coffee Talk. This is also obviously going to do the whole Start Me Up, caffeine, that sort of thing. But here's my question. Are they selling out by doing this? Can the Rolling Stones have been around for so long? Can they sell out?
They are.
Is it okay?
Absolutely. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They're the Rolling Stones, but I wouldn't buy it. Would you buy it?
Well, I wouldn't buy a Keurig. Well, this was the other thing. I'm like, they're so wasteful. Those pods, I loved it because I could just make a little cup of coffee, but the pods, the plastic, and I don't know if they've changed since the last time, if it's become more environmentally friendly or if they use different materials, but it's very wasteful. So, I will say the radio station that I work at part-time in San Francisco has a Keurig that everybody uses all the time. There are refillable pods. When I had one, I had the refillable pod because I like to use my own coffee and I like to fill it up more. Because sometimes, they're not full enough. I love this. Symphony for the Keurig. That's a good one.
Does it play like when you stick it in there? Does it start playing Start Me Up?
Oh, that'd be really fun. And Lori says, were they ever an issue band? What are they selling out? It's their music. Why shouldn't they get the money? Good point. Good point. I don't know. It's just kind of like putting your trademark, the lips and the tongue and everything with Keurig, which again, environmentally wise, not that friendly. I don't know if they're an environmentally friendly band. I think the Stones are cool. They're definitely an older band. Maybe if you just hit a certain age of the band, maybe they're going to start winding it down instead of starting it up. And this is the whole, is the whole second act, I guess.
You have to think that when they die, their estate, their kids, their whoever will probably sell the rights to things like commercials and such. So why shouldn't they get the money while they're alive? I don't know. That doesn't bother me.
All right. Oh my God. So the kits are available on the Keurig website for about $140. A limited edition run of 400 appeared to be sold out as of press time on June 7th, which was just yesterday when this was announced. So, all right. Sprite, other bands that have done teaming up collaboration. Sprite recently remixed Rapper's Delight for a summer-long hip-hop celebration, while Don Julio remixed the disco hit Sunny for a new campaign. So, and also reaching new audiences as well, right? I mean, if they're trying to be on TikTok, maybe promoting Rolling Stones music, which is pretty good music, to a younger audience that may not even know that. I mean, it's amazing sometimes when you watch some of these videos, what some of these kids have never even heard of. Makes you feel extremely old. And that's all I got to say about that. All right. So tomorrow is our Friday show. Was it you, Calvin, that sent me I think it was you, Calvin. You sent me all sorts of articles. I had pizza recently, but there is a pizza story I'm going to include tomorrow. I'm not going to have pizza. I think I'm going to make something. We're going to see how the day goes. But speaking of TikTok or Instagram, I don't know which social media site I was watching this video on, but I found this really cool recipe for something that looks absolutely delicious. So if I make it, I might have another I made that segment during the Friday food segment. If not, send me your recommendations, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Again, go to the website, thenikkimedoroshow.com, to become a Medorable. Become a monthly subscriber to our Patreon. Helps keep the lights on, as they say, because we are a 100% crowd-funded show. Also, that website has links to our PayPal, has links to our merchandise shop. We'll also talk about affirmative action tomorrow. Kim had that in her news. How do you feel about affirmative action? What other way can we even the playing field for people trying to go to college? And I'm going to tie in the whole reparations thing. You know, some people are talking about, should reparations be cash money, or should it be things like scholarships and stuff like that? So how do we make things, even attempt to make things right? And is affirmative action the way to go? And if it's not, how do we do it? Any ideas? Barbecue ribs for Friday food? Well, Anonymous, that sounds delicious. You know, beef or pork ribs. Real quick, you guys know I used to work at Tony Roma's. Tony Roma's beef ribs were like this big. And I never used to get them, but my best friend who worked with me always used to get them, and she would never wipe her face until she was completely done with the ribs.
Gross.
Because they're so messy. Well, it wasn't worth it. She's like, why am I going to wipe my face? I start eating again. It's going to be disgusting. Sam's barbecue, Natalie? You guys are making me hungry for barbecue. Maybe. Sam's? That's one idea. I'll put it on the list. Sam's barbecue. Send me more. I like ideas. So send them to thenikkimedoroshow.com or thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com is the email address. It's also the PayPal address and everything like that. Ooh, Sam's barbecue. All right. Maybe. We'll see. Join me tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.